This is 1 grain of salt. And it's also the amount of fentanyl that you would need to consume in order to overdose from this drug and die. The ugly truth is that fentanyl use is way off the charts here in the state of Idaho, and residents of our state are asking, who is to blame for this opioid crisis that we're facing here in our state? Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin, 100 times stronger than morphine, and according to the DEA, 40% of all counterfeit pills sold across the United States contain a lethal dose of fentanyl. I did a deeper dive into this subject, and I found that Idaho leaders are blaming one individual for the rise of fentanyl in the state of Idaho, and that is President Joe Biden. Shalom, shalom everybody, Benj here with Triple Cord Real Estate, and in this video I want to share with you 2 ways in which President Joe Biden's policies are harming the state of Idaho. And the way that I got onto this topic was about a week ago. I was in Nampa and I saw a bus with a big advertisement splashed across the side of it that said, "Stop overdose use now." And then later that day, I saw that our Canyon County Sheriff, Kieran Donahue, was on Fox News saying this.
The amount of overdoses unprecedented in our state, in our communities right here where I'm at. We have never seen these numbers.
So after seeing this, I did a bit more research and I discovered an ugly truth. Last year in 2021, 44% of overdose deaths in the state of Idaho involved a synthetic opioid such as fentanyl. And that number was only 21% in 2020 and 12% in 2019. Last year, Idaho saw a 500% increase in the amount of fentanyl seized compared to the year before. And with regard to this fentanyl crisis in particular, here's how the Canyon County Sheriff Donahue describes what we're facing here in the state.
How is fentanyl affecting your community?
Well, thank you and good morning. We're overwhelmed with fentanyl and the seizures of fentanyl and of course overdose accounts here, and these are numbers that we have never seen before. They're literally unprecedented.
Now in Idaho, fentanyl pills usually look like this. They're usually blue and they're made to look like a painkiller called oxycodone. They even put a stamp on it to make it look like a legitimate pill. And people who sell these pills usually call them M30s, Mexies, Blues, or Dirty 30s. And here's what law enforcement officers have to say about where these pills are coming from into our state.
Number 1 threat is that border. Because everything that's the gateway. Everything that's bad coming across it ends up in America.
96% of the law enforcement agencies concur that the fentanyl and the meth that are coming into Idaho are sourced in Mexico.
Now, from what I could find, law enforcement officers all across the country, not just in Idaho, are frustrated by this crisis. And the president, at best, is not doing anything to help with this opioid crisis. At worst, he's exacerbating the problem.
What's your message to the president?
This is unacceptable, and the president needs to take responsibility.
Now, I don't want to just blame Joe Biden if he doesn't bear all of the responsibility. But if you look at what he has done since he has taken office, it's hard to conclude that he doesn't at least bear some of the blame. One of the first things that Joe Biden did when he took office is he suspended the construction of the U.S.-Mexico wall. You remember his campaign mantra was not another foot. And if you look at the numbers of illegal crossings since he has taken office in 2021, you see that the numbers have really exploded since he's become president. In 2020, there were 458,000 illegal crossings from Mexico into our country. In 2021, that number jumped up to 1.7 million. And this year, we're on track for about 2.3 million illegal crossings from Mexico into the United States. May of 2022, there were 241,000 apprehensions, an all-time monthly high. And that number has just been increasing month after month. But the consistent message of the Biden administration has been everything is fine. Alejandro Mayorkas, who's the Secretary of Homeland Security, said this 1 year ago when the numbers really began exploding and the border was surging.
The border is closed. The border is secure.
So according to Homeland Security, our border is secure. But here's what Sheriff Donahue has to say about that.
So when you hear DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas say that the border is closed, things are under control, what do you say to that?
That he's absolutely idiotic to say those, and if he believes that, then he's an idiot.
You gotta love the sheriff there. He definitely doesn't mince any words here. And by the way, I love the saddle and the backdrop of his screenshot there. In 2019, Trump created a policy called Remain in Mexico. And what this did is it basically made asylum seekers remain in Mexico until they got a hearing here in the United States. Biden canceled that in 2021. It went to the Supreme Court and bounced around there in the courts for about a year and a half. But just recently, about a month ago, the Supreme Court ruled that that can be canceled, and so the Biden administration is going to put an end to that very shortly. Title 42 is a section of the U.S. Code dating back to the 1940s, which basically allows federal health authorities to prohibit migrants from entering into our country if it's determined that doing so would prevent the spread of contagious diseases in the United States. So that policy has been in place since the start of the pandemic in 2020. Biden began the process of putting an end to that in February of 2021. So now it's in the courts, but the Biden administration is in the process of putting an end to Title 42. So with so many migrants flowing into our country illegally, and with so many drugs coming from Mexico into our country, you would think that the Biden administration would do everything possible to try to curb this as much as possible, but the policies that they're implementing don't seem to be moving in that direction. Here's the sheriff one more time.
I met Mr. Trump twice. I was in the White House twice, meeting with him on these issues. He brought us to the table. This administration, we have none of that. Not only do we not get invited to the table, there is no table, because in their eyes, there's no problem.
So since the federal government doesn't seem to be helping in any way, Idaho is doing everything that it can to help curb this fentanyl crisis that we're facing here in our state. Last year, the governor sent troopers down to the border to see how Idaho could help secure the border. Our governor also joined 25 other state governors in creating the American Governor's Border Strike Force. And here in Idaho, we've also sponsored a program called Operation Esto Perpetua, which is meant to directly target this rising drug threat here in our state. We've also been allocating a lot of money to combat the threat of fentanyl. Just 2 weeks ago, for example, our governor announced that we're going to be putting $1 million towards combating the growing threat of fentanyl. So the U.S.-Mexico border crisis is not just a political discussion that's 2,000 miles away from our state. It's directly affecting the state of Idaho. And unfortunately, our president's policies regarding the border are directly hurting the state of Idaho. Now, before I move on, if you are liking this video, tap the like button so that I know that you are enjoying this video and would like more of this kind of content. Thanks. The second thing that Joe Biden is doing is he is suing our state. Now, as you know, on June 24th of 2022, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 to overturn Roe versus Wade. Now, it's really important to highlight here that the Supreme Court did not limit abortion in any way. They didn't prohibit any kind of abortions. What the ruling simply did is it gave the power to make abortion law back to the states, which is how it was prior to Roe versus Wade in 1973, which, by the way, that's actually how the United States was founded. The settlers who came to the New World were sick of the taxation without representation, and so they wanted a weak federal government. They wanted the power to make their own laws in their own states. So over the past several years, Idaho has passed their own legislation. We've made abortion laws here in our state. Now, those laws have all been contingent upon the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and since that was overturned, those laws are set to come into effect here in the state of Idaho very shortly. Now, I'll bet you didn't know this, but Joe Biden loves our state. He loves the people of Idaho. In fact, he's so concerned with the state that the minute Roe versus Wade was overturned, his first thought was, oh no, the people of Idaho have laws on their books that are going to hurt them. I should probably step in and meddle with their laws and save the people of Idaho. So thankfully, the federal government is stepping in to save us from our own people, from our own laws. And he made the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, file a suit against Idaho this week. In their view, Idaho's laws are supposedly violating federal law. In their view, our abortion laws will make it impossible for doctors to give life-saving treatment to women who come to get treated. So here's what he thinks would supposedly happen. A woman comes to a hospital with a life-threatening situation, and the only way to save her is by performing an abortion, which sometimes can actually happen. And here's what he thinks the doctor would say. Nope, sorry, I am not going to treat you. I'm gonna let you die because of the abortion ban here in Idaho. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I have been following abortion pretty closely here in the state of Idaho for the past several years, and I've actually read through the laws that have been passed over the years, and all of the laws that I've read have a provision in them for the woman if her life is in danger. But never mind, the federal government doesn't believe us, so they're suing us. Thankfully, that's not the position of our governor. Here's what Brad Little had to say in response to the federal government suing the state of Idaho. He said, quote, "Our highest court of law returned the issue of abortion to the states to regulate. End of story." And he says, here in Idaho, we are proud that we have led the country in protecting preborn lives. The truth is, the federal government is doing everything that it can to make sure that there are more abortions. Long gone is the catchphrase that Bill Clinton used back in 1992, that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. What they want is abortion on demand and without restrictions. And that's why they're trying to pass a law that will allow for abortions to occur on federal land. But again, the state of Idaho steps in and leads the way. Our very own Senator Jim Risch, along with Marco Rubio, has just introduced legislation to block the Biden administration from using federal property for abortion. So yes, the Biden administration is having an impact on the state of Idaho, but unfortunately, they're not having a positive effect on our state. Thank you for watching. If you want to watch other videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button below.